Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Clarity in the Chaos, formerly known as Keto in the Chaos. On this channel, I like to share all the ups and downs, both mental and physical, on this fight to end obesity in my life. I also talk about things 50 plus and all of the things that make perimenopause and menopause a struggling time of life. So if that sounds interesting to you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe on your way in for more videos like this one to inspire you to get started.
Follow me from the past into the future. Let's be in the present. I don't wanna sweat it. I just wanna start all over. Just wanna start all over. All over.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Tammy and this video is the update for week 3 on my GLP-1 journey. I am taking Terzepatide compound from Brello Health. I have a whole video on Brello and what makes them awesome. You can check that in my GLP-1 playlist. And of course, there's a link to Brello Health in the description below. So don't forget to check out that while you are listening. All right, so we're finishing up week 3 of my GLP-1. I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown on my dosing and what I've done for the past 3 weeks, the reasons that I decided to do that, and then I will give you all of the data on my weigh-ins, my calories, and my steps this week, and how well I did progressing towards my goal. Now remember, I am dividing this up. This is just going to be my talking about the data video, and then tomorrow will come out my vlog that will have all of the clips of everything that happened this week and all of my exercise and all of the fun stuff that happened and all the things I ate. So part of what I've always done in my weight loss journey is keep track of all the data. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to be as meticulous as me. I don't feel like what I do is obsessive in any way, unless you want to look at it as a hyperfixation for my autism to focus on and my ADHD to get dopamine from, because it really does do that. And I probably won't do it forever, but as I'm just getting started, this kind of helps me give a barometer to see how I'm doing and to give myself like things that I can go off. If I want to change things in the future, if I feel like I need to up calories or lower calories, I'll kind of know what my calories already are. You do not have to do that. So if you're just starting a GLP-1, the only thing you need to be concerned about is your protein and your fiber and your water. So focus on those things and don't worry about anything else if you're just getting started. Me, it might look like that I'm just getting started, but I have years and years of weight loss experience under my belt. This channel was founded on teaching the concept of tracking your food, having a high protein diet, and losing weight that way. Like, I have literally always done that, and I've always done that here. That does not mean that you have to do that. It's just how I like to do it. And I think it's fun for you guys to see because you can really see the breakdown of what I've done and how I've changed things over time. And there's no question about what I'm doing. Also, there's just no question for me, which just helps so much with the fluctuations on the scale. Because as you know, if you're on a weight loss journey, the scale can change 5 to 6 pounds overnight, up or down. And you can't live your life dependent on what the scale says. And that's another reason why I like to keep track every single day and then average out the weights to find out what I'm actually going down over time, which is a more consistent pattern. Because weight can fluctuate daily based on so many random things, you really can't count on a once a week weigh-in to give you all of the data. And sometimes that'll really disappoint you. I see some of these girls are doing once a week weigh-ins and maybe they gained weight that day. But who knows why they gained weight? They could have gained weight because of they're on someplace in their cycle. Maybe they ate more sodium than usual. Maybe they ate too little sodium and their body was holding on to it. Maybe they drank more water than usual. Maybe they exercised more in it, or their muscles held more glycogen, held more water. There are so many reasons that your weight could go up that only going by one number for me is just not safe. I don't feel like it's safe. I don't feel like it's a good barometer for me on how I'm doing. So that is why I do it the way I do it. So for dosing, if you haven't watched my video on Brello and why I chose them, I highly recommend you do so. But one of the things that's so nice about using a telehealth company with a compound, you can adjust your dose to your own liking. And you don't have to wait until you go make a visit with the doctor and try and convince them that you need to raise your dose. You are in the driver's seat. Now, that means if you decide to raise it up too quickly, you might be facing some serious consequences that maybe you wouldn't have if a doctor had warned you away from doing that. I will highly recommend, just like everybody else that is on GLP-1s, to try and keep the lowest dose that you can that is working for you for as long as you can. But for me, the very first dose did basically nothing for me, and it made my life worse, because when it only worked for about 2 days and then it stopped working, I had a weight up. My body had an overreaction. My brain had an overreaction to the hunger that came after the medicine wore off. And it was this horrible thing because I was an all or nothing person and I decided to go all in on the calories from day one. Maybe not the best choice, but it's just how my brain works. And I suffered and it was awful. And I don't think I've ever seen anybody that had such a struggle on week 1 as I did. Now, I've seen people say, oh, it didn't really work, but like, we're talking like I was in worse situation than before I started the meds. Now, I have figured out that I have removed caffeine from my diet, and that seems to have curbed all of that weird brain overstimulation. I think I was taking my Ritalin for my ADHD, and compound that with I was drinking a lot of caffeine, because apparently the Ritalin is just not quite enough. And I didn't realize how much caffeine I was drinking. So once I eliminated the caffeine, well, not fully eliminated, but drastically decreased the amount of caffeine that I was drinking, that seemed to fix that problem. And then the second week, I went ahead and ate maintenance calories basically, and I didn't lose any weight because I wanted to make sure that the medicine had time to build up in my system. So for the first week, I did 2.2 milligrams because that's what Brello Health recommends as a starter dose. You're supposed to do 4 weeks of 2.2 milligrams. I did not do that. And I have received some criticism for raising my dose too soon and maybe being impatient, but I just had to tell myself that the people who are saying those things did not live inside my brain and did not feel what I was feeling and did not freak out and wonder if they were gonna ever be able to do this. So I raised my dose a teensy little bit, okay? We're not talking jumping straight to the double dose. I literally raised it up 2 units, which with Brello Health, just so you guys know, units are not your measurement of medicine. I need to do a whole video on that and that alone on dosing differences, because every single company mixes their dose differently. So some people might need 50 units for a 2.5 milligram dose. And like me, I need teensy little 10 units for a 2.2. So I was literally raising it up, which you could barely see on the syringe. If you'd watched my other videos, I kind of tried to show it. You can barely see it. Like, it was a little more complicated to raise my dose a tiny bit because you could barely see the lines to where to go. Anyway, week 2, I raised my dose to 2.64. And it still didn't quite do the trick. And I wasn't really sure because I was eating my TDEE, but I didn't lose any weight and I didn't feel a lot of appetite suppression. And I know that it needs to build up. I have the Shotzi app. It's free. Just so you know, if you download the Shotzi app and you get to the page where it tells you to like choose some money, like for the future, you do the free trial. I deleted the app because I thought that it cost money, but it doesn't. There's a little X at the top and you just click it and bye-bye to the offer and you get the free version of the app. On the Shotzi app, it shows you, like, it literally shows you the medicine building up over time. It shows you the amount that's like theoretically in your system, which is really reassuring to me. I could see that in the first week, I really started to suffer because it drastically went down too quickly and I was well underneath the 1 milligram mark for most of the week. And same for the second week, it went way low. And so based on that information and the way I was feeling, I decided to raise it up again this last week, 2 more units, which is 0.44 of a milligram. We're not talking like a whole bunch. It's less than a half a milligram of medicine that I raised it up. So let's not have any panicking, everyone. Let's not have any panicking. Now, if you don't want to follow me, like I said, I'm not a doctor. The doctor didn't tell me to do this. I'm not a nutritionist. I don't tell you what to eat. This is all purely based on my own experience and what I decided to do. I knew that I was risking having a lot of side effects. But I also know that I could double the dose in 2 weeks, and the double for Brello is only 4.4 milligrams. So I didn't see the harm in slowly titrating up teensy bit each week. I wasn't really having side effects at all, so I wasn't that concerned about the side effects changing that much on a tiny raise. So before you get in the comments and type all your things, keep in mind that it's my choice, and I get to do what I want. And I chose to do it. And I'm so glad that I did because it was awesome. This week, my injection was 3.08 milligrams, or basically 3.1 milligrams of the medicine. It was amazing. Finally, I'm starting to see what everybody was talking about. So let's go over my side effects because I know everybody was so concerned that I was going to be vomiting up my brains and like in the ER because I raised my dose a little bit too early. I'm not saying anyone else needs to do this. I'm just saying it's what I chose to do, and I hope that is going to be okay with you guys. Anyway, so on to symptoms. I give my injections on Tuesday nights. I'll be doing the next one tonight. And I did have some nausea through the night. I woke up at like 2, 3 a.m. to use the restroom, and I was like laying there going, wait a minute, do I feel sick? I think I actually do. I'm like, hallelujah. Hallelujah. I mean, who would have thunk a person who is so afraid of nausea? Because let me remind you, I have been through the worst nausea ever after my tummy tuck, where I literally couldn't raise my head off the pillow without feeling like I was falling down a hole and like just sick. That is what I thought the nausea would be like on this med. Yeah, I was a little nauseated in the night, and I was like happy because I was like, oh, hallelujah. Please let this be a sign that this dose is actually going to do something, that it's finally built up enough, and I've raised it up the micro dose a little bit more than I was supposed to, just so that I can have some actual things happening in my body. Okay? So, first night nausea. I guess I've had little tiny bouts of nausea throughout the week, but nothing that you would even like be, I'm like, it's like you're going, am I? Not really. Am I? Not really. And most of the time it was because I didn't eat, or I hadn't eaten yet and I should have, was putting it off, which that's a good sign to you that I was able to put it off. What? Yeah, like, oh my gosh. The only other side effect that I had was I did suffer from some constipation. I had a little bit of a struggle getting the fiber in this week, and I did drink all my water. I was drinking 120 ounces a day, which is a miracle because I come from keto where we're like, don't drink so much water, like 60 to 80 ounces tops, right? And here am I drinking double that or more a day. I took all of my things, but I don't know, I just kind of on day 4, I noticed things were kind of like not right. So I took some Colace, I took extra Senna, I took a Miralax chew, and eventually things even back out, or now we're back to fine. So I think I just needed a little bit more fiber than I was getting, but I really am sick of the fiber gummies. I can't stand the taste of them now, which is like, yay, because I love gummy candy. So you got to know that's a miracle in and of itself. I've been taking 2 every day, but I'm not going to take like more than that. I just can't. So I've been trying to get fiber from my veggies, my pasta, rice, beans, anything that I can think of that has fiber, and I'm getting better at it, at determining what has fiber. But let's be honest, I wasn't pre-tracking. That's the beauty of this thing. I did not pre-track my food all week, which is something I always did with keto to make sure that everything lined up correctly. I would always track in the morning everything I was going to eat, and then I would make it, and I would just eat that. I didn't really like give myself a choice. I just ate it. So hopefully this week I'm going to do a little bit better of paying more attention to the fiber and making sure that I get it in. I think I did okay last week, but like with the constipation, it makes me a little concerned I didn't quite make it. Didn't quite succeed fully because I don't want to have to worry about that. And I'm still a little concerned about it, especially as the doses go up, of course, because that's going to make it worse for a time. Okay, so that was it. That was all of the side effects. Yep. One little bout of nausea in the night, went away in the morning. Little constipation, not even that bad. So on the flip side, let's talk about some of the benefits that I received this week on the GLP-1. First one is the most important, increased hunger control. Because if you've watched the last couple of videos, you realize that I have a very close connection between hunger in my stomach and this weird burning sensation that I get in my brain. My neurons are connected. It causes an anxiety feeling, it causes panic and intense stress. Cortisol levels through the roof if I'm hungry at all. And I can say that I was hungry this week, but when I felt the hunger, it was like dulled. It was more like when I was on keto. It was more calm. It didn't trigger my brain. And I was able to ignore it and move past it, which is how I got a little bit nauseated later. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you, because I knew that this was out there. And I keep seeing other people talk about this, and I'm just like, oh, thank goodness. Because if I can diminish that, then I can plan out my food and I can eat what I'm supposed to eat. And I don't have to worry about whether or not I'm going to be hungry. That's the whole point of this. Now, I know that it comes and goes, and maybe I will struggle next week. You never know. People say that it changes a lot. People say that it goes up and down each day. I'm just going to take this as a blessing because this week was so nice because I didn't have that hunger feeling at all. Also, I did have some of that ick when it comes to eating. In fact, today is shot day. My meds have worn off as much as they're going to. And I made myself breakfast this morning. You'll see it in the next video. For next week, but I made myself protein ice cream. It took me, I think, an hour and a half to eat this. I just didn't want it. It tasted good. I don't get it. It tasted really good and creamy and yummy, and I literally could not freaking get it down. And that was weird because like that kind of stuff is usually like, I eat that and I still want more. I also said in that video that I was going to eat this with it, and I still have not eaten it. And it is 1:41 p.m. I still have not eaten this. So the only thing I've eaten today is protein ice cream, which was basically made from a protein shake. Oh my goodness. And I have no hunger, and I literally have no desire to eat this. Like I want to eat it because I said I was going to eat it and I tracked it, but heck, if I'm going to eat it, I don't know. We'll see. It's so weird. Another thing that has happened that was so weird is my caffeine consumption. My desire for soda. I like live off soda. Like if you know me at all, you know that I have been hooked up when I was overweight in my younger years and having babies. I was hooked up to a Coke IV all through my pregnancies, all through my breastfeeding, like literally drank Coke all day long. Dave is the same way. He drinks Mountain Dew all day long. And since I started keto, I also added in a Bang energy drink to my caffeine. And Coke Zero, of course. I would literally drink a Bang Energy in the morning right after taking my 30 milligrams of Ritalin and be fine. That was like my best part of the day. And then I would drink Coke after Coke, cans of Coke, just like cans and cans and cans of Coke. I think I'm going to save money because I had a few like spilt milks this week, which is caffeinated milk. It's the best thing ever. I really got to see if they have an affiliate link because, oh my gosh, that stuff is awesome. But it just tastes like chocolate milk. I don't really drink it for the caffeine. It tastes better than Fairlife Shake. And it just tastes like chocolate milk more than anything else. It's really thin and not thick like protein shake, but it has 20 grams of protein. Anyway, I digress. I didn't drink my Bang Energies anymore. I stopped doing that last week. And this week I've noticed that my desire to have cans of Coke is drastically decreasing, and I keep finding cans of Coke Zero that I've opened and never drunk. In fact, I have this one that I've been nursing for like an hour. It's still half full. That's usually like me with a Bang Energy sometimes. Like, it's crazy. Like I used to be able to just and still need another one. Stop and get a 44 ounce on the way home. Haven't done it. What? It's like amazing. And in fact, my desire to drink it and the flavor profile of it isn't even that good anymore, which is good because it costs money and it's basically waste, right? The main reason I was drinking it is because I'm trying to stave off this stupid hunger thing. Trying to just keep something in my stomach to stop my brain and my stomach from hurting. But I'm not having to do that anymore, and that's saving me money. And you all know I like saving this some money. With the 9 kids, life is crazy and life is expensive and I can barely afford to pay my bills half the time. So anything that saves me money, so good. Another thing I experienced this week was like a calmer attitude, almost reminding me of like when I first started Ritalin. I'm better on Ritalin. Like I'm still good on it, but I don't think I realized that I was still overreacting to a lot of situations. So here's an example for this week. I had a child tell me something very intense this week. Now that child may think I overreacted, but inside of me, I was not overreacting. Outside of me, I was just kind of like questioning a lot and like saying like, are you sure about this? Like, trying to wrap my brain around it, right? But I wasn't freaking out. And this is something that normally would have had me in utter tears. Like when my kids surprise me with emotional things that I'm not prepared for. I mean, let's just go back to 2023 when my daughter was pregnant and told me that she had hired a maternity photographer right there in front of everyone at Phineas's 18th birthday. And I was horrified. If you guys don't know, I am actually also a photographer. That is my actual job. And the way I make money continuously, my actual job is I am a photographer. I'm a dance photographer, but I do all kinds of photography. And for my own actual daughter, pregnant with my own actual grandchild, and to not want me to take photos. I mean, even my daughter-in-law had me take her maternity photos. It was just a given. But for my own daughter to not want me to do maternity photos for her and to hire somebody because she thought it would be inconveniencing me. And she was being helpful. She's always a little too helpful. Let's be real. We adopted her when she was 3 and she's born helpful. Sometimes in a too helpful way, if you know what I'm saying. And this was just one of those situations. I know she didn't mean it to be mean, but I took it so badly and I literally was heartbroken and I cried. I couldn't control it. It was like a mess. And that's with me on Ritalin. So this experience that happened this week, there was none of that. I have cried a little, but normally things like that hit my ADHD so hard. I'm so sensitive that if I'm not prepared for an emotional thing like that, if someone doesn't tell me privately and let me allow to have my overreaction and then calm down and talk about it, like to be surprised like that. We were literally mid-conversation about something else and it came out and I was like, what is my life happening right now? I just can't even handle this. But I didn't overreact and I didn't freak out and I didn't cry and I didn't embarrass her. And I talked to her very firmly and told her how I really feel about it. And I was able to communicate in words instead of freaking out. Holy crap, you guys. This is a whole new world of awesome. This is the reason I started GLP-1. Because some people told me that this would happen, that I would feel even more calm with my ADHD mind. And I didn't believe that was possible. Because I am on a very high level of a methylphenidate, Ritalin, and it barely quiets it. Barely. It takes the edge off, right? My brain is still on constant overload, 24/7. And to have it calm down like that is like, I'd trade anything for that. Like, it's insane. So speaking of that, I also had several moments this week where I noticed that I was relaxed. From a person who spends a lot of time trying to relax, to notice that I'm relaxed, to feel relaxed, I became very aware that I am never, ever relaxed. I'm always doing things to relax, taking long baths, spending time in the pool, laying in my bed and watching TV, trying to meditate, praying, all the things that people say you're supposed to do. But I never feel relaxed. Until this week. First time in my life. First time ever. What is this miracle? I am stunned. I'm like, when I stop between words and I'm silent, I don't hear anything. It's so weird. Like, so weird. I do still have a running commentary. Don't get me wrong. There is still a lot of spinning going on in here, especially when I'm getting dopamine rush about making videos. I joined TikTok and my brain goes crazy about TikTok, trying to figure out how to make it work for me because it doesn't work for me. I noticed that I just have one commentary going on. I don't have 10. And I've had about 4 bouts of anxiety this week. And I don't think I realized that my anxiety levels had dropped until I was shocked by some anxiety. I got overstimulated from TikTok and I all of a sudden just like panicked and had to stop watching it and freaked out. And then I went, oh my gosh, I'm feeling anxiety. And then I went, whoa, this is the first time I felt anxiety this week. What is happening? I like live in anxiety. I don't even think I realize how much anxiety I have. This is another reason I started the GLP-1. Last week I talked a lot about the inflammation going down. I haven't noticed a lot more of inflammation going down, but that is one of the reasons why I started doing this in addition to the mental. But the mental thing is the reason. Like if I didn't lose any weight, I would still take these peptides. I don't think you're going to be able to pry them out of my hands. It's how I felt about methylphenidate the first time I tried that. It was such a decrease in level of stress and decrease in level of overreaction, but this is an even more decrease. Like the two of them together, I literally sometimes just sit there and just don't think. Wild. I could never do that before. And I mean ever. My whole life. I'm 50. Okay. Wow, 30 minutes. Hopefully I'll cut a lot of this out. Oh my gosh. I can just blather on, can't I? Oh my gosh. And I don't know why I keep touching my face. There is like, my nose is itching. I don't know why. It's driving me bunkaronies. If you'll notice, my nose has gotten redder and redder. That's because I keep stopping to talk to rub the crap out of my nose. I don't know why it's itching me. Can we just get to the data already? Because you guys just want to know if I lost weight. You didn't care about any of all that stuff. Hopefully you just fast forwarded to this part if you were interested in my weigh-ins for the week. So let's just get into it. All right. Wednesday, August 27th. That's where we're starting. 256.6. Then the 28th, 254.4. Then the 29th, 253.3. What? Then the 30th, 254.2. Okay. And then the 31st, 254. And then the first, 254.4. And then this morning, 253.3. What? Okay. I'm doing two different ways of saying the weigh-ins. If we go from last week's weigh-in at Tuesday, the 26th, that was 256.6. And then today's weigh-in was 253.3. So if you go by that one, I am down 3.3 pounds. Okay, so if you do all the averages and you average all of the weights, my weekly average is 254.3. Last week's weekly average was 257.7, and that puts me down 3.4 pounds. What? It's almost the same. My weekly weigh-in and my weekly average are the same, 3.3 and 3.4. So, woot, I'm going with the 3.4. It's a little bigger. Everyone do a cheer. Yay! We're so happy. Okay. That's not why we're happy, but definitely happy about that. Like, I'm not going to complain about that. There's other things I'm happy about more than that. Okay, so let's just talk about, I didn't do my measurements, which is super embarrassing. This morning I forgot to measure myself. I'm like, what? I knew there was something else I was supposed to do, but I just was so anxious to get in the pool that I didn't do it. And I'm sorry. So we'll have to do a 2-week check-in. Well, we're going to do a 1-month check-in next week anyway, so I'll just worry about the measurements. Then I'm not going to worry about it, but I'm sure I did lose something, but I didn't measure. Okay, so my calories for the week. So I'm just going to go over the food that I eat, the data, and I just want you guys to keep this in mind. I did not pre-track my food like I mentioned earlier. I got up and I went to the fridge and I decided to drink or eat something, and I then tracked it each time I did so. So that makes these numbers even more impressive because it makes me know that I do intuitively know how to eat the way I want to eat without tracking in advance. And this medicine is making it so that I can, which is brilliant. The 26th, 1342, then 1614, 1574. May I mention that on 1574 day, we went out to eat at a restaurant. What? It was Dave's birthday. 1691, 1531, 1357, and 1622 for an average of 1533. That's awesome. That's like a 700 calorie per day deficit, which is 4,900 for the week, which is 1.5 pounds of body fat burned. Yay! Let's hope. All right. My proteins, 126, 140, 141, 171. You don't need all of these. 125, 168, 158. Average, 147. You guys know I like to keep them 10% of my calories. It's pretty dang close. I think that's the closest I've gotten since I started. So calories were 1533, so I should have had protein of 153, and my protein was 147, which is pretty dang close. Carbs, I'm not worried about carbs, just so you know. I'm not trying to eat low carb. I'm trying not to eat carbs. I'm literally eating carbs all the time, whatever carbs I crave. In fact, one day this week, I think it was yesterday, I ate I wanted a banana and oatmeal, and I ate some pudding, whatever. So that was my highest carbs day of the week, and that was 155. But all the other days, we got 63, 85, 81, 104, 117, 37. Wonder if that's why I craved carbs the next day. Craved? Did I say craved? Whatever, average was 92. Less than 100. Nice. Fats. 61, 70, 75, 54, 51, 49, and 32. 32 on the day that I went over on the carbs. Interesting. For an average of 56, which is awesome. My fiber, not as good. 16, 26, 19, 25, 32, the only day I actually hit the 30, 27 and 21 for an average of 24. The goal is to get between 25 and 30 or more. So I didn't quite make the goal. Working on that. Gonna do better next week. All right, so my steps for the week. 1563, 373, 8207, 8062, 568, 1171, and 5316 for an average of 3609. Now, remember, I am tracking my steps on my phone on the Samsung Health app. It doesn't really go by movement. It goes by moving. So the things that you do in place, the work that you're doing, if you're not moving from one place to another, doesn't really get you any steps. So these are actual physical steps of me walking around doing something. Like even going up and down the stairs doesn't get very many because on the tracking on the GPS, I don't move very far. Even though the steps are bringing up my heart rate. For this reason, I really wish that I had some kind of tracker device. But as I have talked about before, I have owned tracker devices and I bang them into the wall and I ruin them. I really, 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 really want a Hume band. Like something fierce. And I keep trying to get the Hume company to give me some kind of deal. You know, like I want their scale, the body pod. And I also want the Hume band. That's like a bracelet that tracks. But it's $279. So we'll see. I'm working on them. Hopefully I'll be able to figure it out. If not, I might buy it myself at some point because Mama's got to have something. Because this is driving me crazy, tracking and getting... There's no way. I spent an entire day and got only 373 steps in any stretch of the imagination, even if I laid in bed most of the day. There was no way that that's real. That's no way. So it's kind of annoying, but whatever. Last week I had an average of 5406, so I guess I didn't do as well this week. I thought I did. So that's annoying. I did do a strength training exercise. Of course, I got no steps from that because it was strength training. And I didn't like it. And I don't know if I'm going to make myself do it again. I don't know. We'll see. It's in the video tomorrow if you want to see how pitiful it was. All right. That's it. The only thing I have left is to talk about Dave. So anyone who made it to the end of this video probably cares about Dave. Dave is my husband of 31 years. Dave is overweight. Okay. Dave is morbidly obese. Back when I started keto, he was 374 and I was 374 when we both started. We lost 100 pounds together in the same rate. And then I kept going and lost another 100 and he stopped. He doesn't really want me to talk about his weight, but suffice it to say that he is over where we began last time. Well, he was at the beginning of his GLP-1. So he has had 2 injections. He injects on Fridays. And in the very first, so he's only had one weigh-in that he's keeping track of. His very first week, he lost 8 pounds. And then I think just a couple days later, he told me he was already down 10. So we'll see how this week goes. So far, so good. He hasn't had any GI symptoms other than a little belching, some acid reflux. I'm glad I don't have the belching. That's nasty. And he hasn't really had like a lot of hunger and food suppression, but he has noticed that he is just eating less than he used to. So hopefully it's going to work for Dave too. I kind of leave him alone. Give him some advice, tell him what he needs to focus on, but I don't like micromanage my husband. I don't believe in that. But I'm so excited for him, and I really hope this works for him as well as it's working for me. I hope, because he has a lot of anxiety, that will kick in this next week for him, and that he will also start to feel that calm. He decided to start on the 2.5 milligram dose, not on the 2.2, and he decided not to titrate up for the second week. So we'll see how he goes on Friday when I ask him again what he wants to do. But I think he's just probably going to stick to the 2.5, and then maybe he'll go up to the Brello's 4.4 or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what he's thinking about. So that is it for the video. And in case you were wondering if I'm filming 360s, I am, but I just can't post it because it's too embarrassing. I can't do it. I keep trying to, and I'm not going to do it yet. We'll see. But I have them for when I need them in the future, for when I am ready to post them, and I'll be able to share them with you all. All right. That was a really long video, and now you see why I can't put the talky part with the videos of all the things that happened this week, because otherwise it's a really long video. You know what I'm saying? And if you made it this far, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate everything that you do for me. And if you're looking for all of the links to everything that I'm affiliated with, I have a lot. It's all in the description below. You can also find it on my link tree on Instagram and TikTok. I hope to see you all again tomorrow for the vlog. Don't miss it. It's going to be fun. And thank you for watching. We'll talk to you all again soon.